Hi, everybody. Thanks for having us in beautiful Bangalore. I personally have been enjoying the food a lot. I'm having dosa every morning, and I can't get enough of it. As she mentioned, I'm Houman Forood. I'm responsible for the third-party program for Series 40 web apps. With me, I have Arindam Bhattacharya. Where are you? Right there. He's our lead PM for Web Apps Platform. So if you have any technical questions, you go talk to him, not to me. So both of us came from the States. We are in Nokia Sunnyvale office in Silicon Valley. And we work on this new platform that we just launched a couple weeks ago called Series 40 Web Apps. But first, I just wanted to get some basic data and information on the get started. And by the way, we have the device that we're going to give away at the end of the session. Did I lose anybody? No. So somebody's going to come up later on and draw, and we're going to give the device away. Just some basic, let's get on the same page here in terms of what Series 40 is, what it can do, and what have you. There's currently 600 million Series 40 devices available in the world, in use. I need to figure this out a little bit better. One more. When you think about using content and applications, first thing you think of is smartphones. This is not something, in reality when we talk to users, everybody has aspiration to actually use services. A lot of it comes from various reasons why they don't. But when you explain to them what it is that you can use, they're actually very interested. The other thing is also when we're, again, talking about consuming apps and content, you immediately think about smartphones. True, 73% of OV Store downloads are from smartphone, but a pretty good chunk of it is still Series 40 devices. That amounts to about 1.3 million downloads a day. By the way, we surpassed 5 million downloads a couple weeks ago, so that's steadily going up. Another fact about Series 40 devices. Again, you guys are in the, this is the market for you. You know what people actually, who uses the Series 40 devices. But I just wanted to make sure that everybody is on the same page. Actually, I have some of the devices here. I don't know, some of you have seen the devices at our booth. But the devices are just getting better and more compelling. We are from touch and type device that we recently launched to QWERTY devices. These are doing really well in different markets around the world. So we are going from very high-end with a lot of capabilities, touch and type, to all the way to low-end. So we pretty much cover all as the whole price range and what users basically want in different markets and different socioeconomic status. And I can just guarantee you more and more compelling devices will come out very soon. You've seen all these announcements. X201 was just released. C3 has been the best-selling QWERTY device in the world for the past couple quarters. So we have some compelling numbers out there with compelling devices that consumers are very excited about. So we talked about Series 40 devices. So now let's get to our platform and what we are trying to do. So as I mentioned, I'm part of this group called OV Browser Services. Our mission is, simply put, to bring better internet experience to Series 40 devices. We either do that through better browsing because of OV Browser. This is a newly launched browser. We've been running a beta for the past 10 months, 8 months. Or either we do it with better browsing or we do it through web apps. And the way we are looking at web apps is, end of the day, is a better and more personalized way to consume web content. Again, just to recapping, this is why we fall under the OV browser services, because simply put, we are bringing better internet experience to Series 40 devices. So let's talk about our web apps platform and framework, because we're doing some innovative things, and I just wanted to make sure that everybody, really understands what it is we are bringing to the table. It's a little bit unconventional, and the problem that we've run into with a lot of partners is they have a preconception of what web apps should be, and then they're trying to fit our platform into their understanding of web apps. So let's keep an open mind and see what our platform actually brings to the table. So we have a cloud-assisted architecture. What does it mean? It means the web app that, from your definition of web apps, doesn't run on the device. For us, the web app actually runs on the server. So the JavaScript executes on the server and lightly gets rendered on the device. Why did we do this? A lot of work went into this. And the reason we did this, because, first of all, we wanted to save bandwidth. Again, this is a problem with a lot of emerging markets. Data is expensive, not good coverage, GPRS. You're lucky if you get edge. So we wanted to make sure with this cloud assisted, because we're doing a lot of compression and caching that you expect from a proxy server. So we do that for our web apps. We also, by doing this, we minimize device fragmentation. How many Java developers in the crowd today? Okay. How many web developers in the crowd? Okay. So you know Java developers, what I'm talking about if you develop for S40 devices. A lot of fragmentation. It just made your life miserable just porting to different devices. So with this architecture, we are trying to minimize fragmentation. We are striving to make, you basically develop one web app and it should run on all devices. That's our goal. Right now, you basically need a couple for different screen orientation, but doesn't matter, it's touch and type or non-touch, the way our UI guidelines are and what have you, you just basically need to create one or two web apps and it covers all the devices out there. All right. This is a very, very important slide, okay? We are not, and I repeat, we are not trying to replace Java. Java is clearly good for certain types of applications. If you want to create complex games, you do want to do offline processing, productivity tools, Java is the way to do it. Our platform is not going to be good for it. But if you want to develop a social networking app, news and information, brands, products, if you want to have, a Tata, car catalog, and with good slideshow and product description and what have you, this is a platform for that. And I want to get a little bit more granular. In the next slide, I'm going to break down which one exactly what I mean, because again, we all have our own concept of each category. Again, I'm not saying that you cannot develop a news application using Java. You could, but it's like killing a fly with a bazooka. You don't need to do that. Our web app platform, you can very quickly and efficiently develop a web app and basically distribute it. All right. So those categories that I talked about, so I'm just breaking it down and giving you very tangible examples what the heck I mean by those categories. Guides. You can do restaurants, city guide, local, entertainment, shopping, nightlife, movies, everything using web apps. I mean, right there, you can have dozens and dozens of applications just relevant to the Indian market. Wrong button. News and information. No explanation needed. I mean, every newspaper, magazine, sports, weather, entertainment news, gossip, horoscope. I mean, list goes on and on and on and on. Hundreds of applications can be built here, hundreds or thousands. Brands and products. This is something, this is kind of I would call it something that I'm very interested in. I want to see that happen more on S40 devices. I see it on other platforms like iPhone and Android, but I want to see it on S40 devices. Again, I want to remind you, this is the biggest platform in the world. This is direct connection to end users. And these brands and the products would love to get to these consumers. There's no better way to do it. And if you come up with like very good product applications that users have a reason to use, it's like either coupon or a catalog of clothing, fashion, and what have you, this would be a very compelling category for a lot of these users. Reference, language lessons. Again, this is for literacy or what have you. Simple games. This is something we always get asked about. How come games are not on your list? There are. You can do simple games that actually a lot of people would be interested in, like quiz, trivia, chess, checker, social games, simple games. So those things are possible. And last but not least, social networks. It's a very good platform to quickly develop this type of applications. So I kept saying that we bring good experience to Series 40 devices. What do I mean by that? Everybody, this is the buzzword these days. What do you mean by better experience? So something we need to be clear about. With a little bit of more work, you can bring in a lot better experience than static mobile web, than going to somebody's website. So here are some examples. Primarily, a lot of these experience-related items are UI effects. So our platform enables certain UI effects, like slideshow, page transition, partial page refresh, tabs, accordion, tabular, all these things. If this is what you expect when you go to a smartphone UX. These are the effects that you see, and they give you this wow factor. We have made that possible on S40 devices with our platform. This is the greatest value we bring in. It just makes the web a lot more usable, friendlier, and more exciting. So here I have some examples. Like, we hide the browser Chrome. So the user basically doesn't even know he's using, the browser is used as a runtime. They don't even know it. And I'm going to go through the whole app consumption model, and you see, from a user perspective, they don't even know if they're using a Java app or they're using a web app. So we are hiding the browser Chrome. We do partial page refresh. So that's something that we are all very familiar when you're using a browser on a PC or on your phone. You click on something that requires a refresh, the whole page refreshes. So these are, by the way, they are not just UI designs. There are actual web apps that we have. These are our sample apps. Here you click on this button, and this row of buttons just like slide in. Or here you can go through news articles page by page by just flicking the screen. Here the same. When you want to do it, it gives you very much of a slideshow effect on a smartphone. I have more examples, what I mean by better UX. Here's something actually Arendam did. Sorry, I took the screenshots after the World Cup was over, so sorry, the information is empty. But here's ESPN's Quick Info site that you have start page, teams, and scores. And in order to go to each page, you basically need to click on different pages to go to different information. Here, what Arendam did was basically put all this information in an accordion user interface. So by just clicking that, it goes up and more information shows up. You want to go to scores, you click on scores, the accordion moves up, and the scores show up, all in one page. So you don't have to go to different pages, all the page refreshes, and all of that. So this is just one example that we did. Here's another example. Quote-unquote smartphone UX. I was playing with this ski report app. It's an Android phone, if you recognize the Chrome. So I showed it to Arendam and said, hey, I think we can do this on our platform. It took him a couple hours, and he replicated that kind of experience. So we have these buttons for non-touch. That's how we are fighting fragmentation. But you can also flick through them if you have a touch and type device. And he just built app consumption. We are not creating a parallel universe. There is no web app store. We are utilizing OV Store. And if you go to the OV browser, we send you right back to the OV Store to download the web app, or you just directly go to OV Store to download the web app. And the experience is exactly like a Java app. A small, tiny, double entendre, a tiny jar file gets downloaded to your device, which is basically a URL, a launcher. Once you click on that, it launches the web app on the server, and you start using the web app. That's simple. Our goal was not to create a parallel universe. The user does not care if it's a web app or it's a Java app. All they care about is the content I want, and I'm just going to consume it. And that's what we stuck with. So let's talk about a little bit publisher program or developer program, something that is very relevant to you guys. So I want to make a point with this slide. This is not just a one-off project that we are trying it out. We are trying to build a true ecosystem. We have value proposition for all the links in the value chain, from publishers and developers all the way to the left to end user. We make this platform happen. We connect you and your content to the end user, either direct to consumer channels that we have, or through the operator. Operators love our solution for a couple reasons. First of all, there's zero cost to them. They don't need to host any data center. All of it we do. Lower network cost. Even though users are going to use the web more, but the data cost will be lower to the operator. And because it's richer consumer experience, therefore more users will use it, so everybody wins. The users get faster, better, and more personalized web experience. And for you developers, you get the tremendous reach of S40 devices. When I say here compelling, I know it's not iOS, it's not Android, but with low cost of development and the code that you can potentially reuse from your web projects, it makes it, so the two together makes it a compelling platform, not one by itself. I know a lot of the things that we provide in our platform is not groundbreaking, but combination of low cost and the features that we offer makes it a very compelling platform. And of course, we have monetization that I'm going to talk a little bit more on the next slide. So diving deeper a little bit on the developer value proposition. So I don't know if I need to talk more about the reach and impact. 600 million, you know, the devices out in the market, the reach is there. This is actually something that I would put that back on you guys. Everybody wants more usage. And Nokia wants more usage, publishers want more usage, and operators want more usage for different reasons. Operators don't want churn. We want to sell more devices. You guys want more usage of your content. So we want to know how we can make it happen. We have some instruments to help you, like co-marketing placement in OV Store, in OV Browser. We can promote content. We have some instruments we can do that. But I want to hear from you how we can make this a success. This is very important, promoting the content and creating more usage. So this is a challenge for you. Tell me how we can help you with your content. I mentioned this, I already talked about it, so I'm not going to dive in it again. Monetization. Currently, we have two ways of monetizing your content. One is through OV Store monetization schema that exists. I understand is not optimal, but that's something that is in place already. The other way is in-app advertising. You can either use your own advertising, or if you choose to, you can use Nokia's advertising APIs. It's up to you. We don't have a preference either way. So as a reminder, we were talking about the developer offering and developer program. So this is the bigger picture of what's going on in Nokia today. I know a lot of news is out there, so I'm not going to speculate what happens with Windows Phone here. It's out of my league. I'm just going to focus here. As I mentioned, we are not replacing Java. Java is there. SDK is there. But we are adding another dimension to the development platform on Series 40 devices. I just wanted to show you guys this, on a bigger, how everything fits within Nokia's Nokia phone ecosystem. All right. Publisher offering. We, of course, have the SDK. I mentioned we released it a couple weeks ago. It's very good. So the SDK, like any SDK, gives you a lot of flexibility. You can create your own, complete freedom to design. Of course, it requires HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And it still takes days to weeks to develop it. We are coming up with a new web-based offering that will come soon. We are basically finalizing how to market it and package it and all that. This is basically for somebody like me, a marketing guy who doesn't have technical knowledge, but wants to crank out all these apps from a major newspaper in some country. We provide templates that I can customize it. I have some screenshots. I'll show you later what I mean. So you can pick the color and the background, change the banner, all those things. So let's actually. So this is the SDK. SDK is available, and I encourage you. We have some CDs. I thought Minu was going to bring some. So we have some CDs here, or not. We have some at the booth as well. And you can also download it from Forum Nokia's website. So I encourage you to do that. And this is the tool that I was just talking about. This is how it's going to look like. So it's very wizard-based. You go through steps, change the color, change the name of the app, and then we have a web-based simulator to see how it looks like. And we will keep you updated when that's going to be available. All right, and timeline. So we've been engaging partners for quite some time, and we have dozens and dozens of partners engaged. We've done a bunch of training. This is something else that I would encourage you to do if you're interested in the platform. Get trained. We provide local trainings as well as webinars. So if you cannot go to certain areas, we can still do webinars. Webinars are live, so you can ask questions. Or if you choose to, you can watch them recorded. And this is basically, I mentioned that a couple weeks ago, we launched a beta program. And from then on, we just want to ramp up web apps. That's simply put, that's where we are. it's pretty simple. All right. Where to get more information? Forum Nokia's website. And your local Forum Nokia, we have a couple guys here, more at the booth. Yes. And please, and I'm here tomorrow, so if you have any more questions, please come to the booth, and I'm more than happy to talk to you. And if you have more technical questions, I said that are random. I'm not going to answer you. The other one, as I mentioned, get trained, either through webinars or local. And as I mentioned, you can download the website to Forum Nokia. You don't need to write the whole URL. If you go to Forum Nokia's website, you can find the SDK. And with that, we have just a plug. Tomorrow we have a Java session at what time? 1:15? 1:50 tomorrow. And where is it? Is it here or the other building? Okay. So don't forget about that. Anything else I need to mention before we go to Q&A? No? Should we do this now or after QA? After QA, okay. So let's get the QA started.
So,
I had a question with regards to, this. My basic question is this: the cost of all devices is coming down. Even Android devices are extremely cheap today. What I mean by cheap is functionally at a very low price you're able to get it. So why must I, as a developer, invest so much of time? I would be investing a lot of time to build this application when a richer functionality is probably available at the same price point. So, like you said, there are 600 million people, but it doesn't take too much of time for those 600 million people to migrate. So what's your point of view on that?
So, I don't want to speculate on competitors' platform, but what I can say about that is, first of all, let me ask you, have you used one of these low-cost Android phones?
Yes.
Do you like it?
No, they're not very good right now, but for a year or so, I think they should improve.
Okay. So one thing is, so I use a lot of phones to understand the difference between OSs and all that. What I see in Android devices is fragmentation. And fragmentation is not going to get any better. And again, this is my opinion. It's not Nokia's opinion. So hardware manufacturers are pressured to differentiate on the software more and more. If they want to differentiate on software more and more, it means more fragmentation on different Nokia phones. And we've already seen them. I'm sorry, not Nokia phones, Android phones. And Android phones, we've seen, because they do a lot of customization, they're always behind in OS releases because they have to rebuild a lot of this new software. So by the time they build it, they're already behind again. And sometimes a lot of the OEMs just give up. They just don't update the OS. So a lot of the bugs stay. So that's the general issue with Android phones. And again, it comes down to the quality. When you say cheap phones, so does cheap phone means reliability is going to stay the same or reliability is going to go down? This just market will decide. Again, I don't have a crystal ball, but these are the issues I see with Android. Where we are, the S40 web apps is specifically built for Series 40 devices. We do everything we can to make sure that you create a very good experience on Series 40 devices. We're not focusing on anything else. So realistically, if you have a lot of the focus on one platform, what are the odds you're going to do a better job on this or something that is so fragmented and everybody wants to cut corners to make more money on the hardware? I'm not again saying that they're going to fail, but that's where I see our competitive advantage, that we are so focused. We have quality control. We are Nokia brand. It has a lot of trust in the market, I'm sure you know. So we have those things on our side. Yes, it's going to be an uphill battle. I'm not denying it, yes. But we are doing all we can to take advantage of the tools and the ammunition that we have to make sure that we stay competitive.
So I realize you mentioned you don't want to talk about the Windows aspect of business decision, but my question is something along those lines, and also what the earlier question was, which is if the company's future is going to be embracing Windows as a OS, what is the incentive for the developer today to start developing these type of applications, knowing that at some point it might be a sunset?
So, good question. Windows phones are not going to be the 30 to 100 euro range that the Series 40 devices are. Not in foreseeable future. So the target market we are going after is very different than smartphone target market, specifically Windows Phone. So I still see opportunity at a broader user base than Windows Phone. So to me, actually, Windows Phone or where Symbian is today and what have you is very complementary to what we are doing. There is a mass market that wants to buy Series 40 devices. We are making it better. And there is a big market that is interested in Windows phones. And I don't think they overlap a lot. Maybe at some point, the price range. But a majority of it, I think we have a pretty good gap between the price of Windows Phone devices and Series 40 devices. And also, let's not forget, I mean, again, we are all techies. We get excited about smartphones and how cool things are and complicated. A lot of people, even, younger age but different professions, they don't want to get caught into all these complicated phones. I just want to do certain things. I want to make a phone call, and it satisfies them. Sometimes we forget, the rest of the world doesn't think like us. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Any more? Was I that good and convincing? Okay, good. One more.
Hi. As a developer, I would like my app to reach, the reach to be maximum, right? So ideally, I would want to write once and let it run everywhere. So I think conceptually, this thing could be done on other platforms too. So any plans there? I mean, rather than restricting it to Series 40, say later on when Windows comes up, releasing something similar for Windows or the Migo platform or something like that, so that I can write once and be sure that it runs everywhere.
Good question. So right now, there is no plan to have this platform on Windows or Symbian, but it is very important to us to minimize work for you if you want to deploy the same kind of application on other platforms. That's why we stuck with web technologies, standards, CSS, JavaScript, and HTML to make sure that this is not going to be yet another project for you. So hopefully, and this is again, this is a very important use case for us. I mean, Arendam is on it because we realize it's a pain for publishers, developers alike, to keep building these apps. And just another platform is going to come, and there's another pressure from another company to build apps. We totally understand that, and we want to make sure that this doesn't bog you down. So we are exploring different routes. Porting guidelines, how we can be more compatible with other platforms. So we want to move up to HTML5, support some HTML5 components. So if you're utilizing them in other platforms, you can easily port them. So we are thinking about it. So going back to your question, our platform won't be on Windows Phone or Symbian as of now. There's no plan. But we are doing all we can to make the porting as little as possible. And if you have any ideas, please let us know. I mean, this is not a one-way conversation. This is two ways. Please, I mean, these things are very important. What does it take, for example, for you to make sure that it distributes? What do you see in our platform that you don't like, that it prevents you from porting to other platforms? We want to hear that.
By the way, I'm not aware of this, but is it an open source or is it
open source, like developers contribute to the code?
Yeah, this framework.
No, it's not open source. Any other questions? All right.